Audiobook presents By the Neck, a Stone-Faced Finnegan Western, by William W. Johnstone and J.A. Johnstone. Narrated by Jack Garrett. Chapter 1. Raleigh Finnegan, two-decade veteran of the Pinkerton Detective Agency, almost chuckled as he descended the broad stone steps of the county courthouse. Not an hour before, he'd taken no small pleasure in seeing the arched eyebrows of the jurymen when he'd been called to the stand. He suspected it would be a long time before the defendant's city-bred whelp of a lawyer would drag him up on the stand again. Finnegan had seen even more surprise on the pot face of the inbred mess that was Chance Filbert, defendant and self-proclaimed Lord of the Rails. Trouble was, Lord Filbert was gifted with bravado and little else. He also liked to swill Tanglefoot, and at Corkin's bar, he'd yammered about his impending robbery of the short-run mail train from Mason's Bluff to Randolph. It hadn't worked out that way. Chance had managed to clamber aboard the train with the help of a fat cohort named Khalil, who'd somehow mounted the rumbling car's fore-platform first. Not receiving any response to their rapping on the door of the mail car, the train was by then cranking along on a flat, the grinding steel pounding for all it was worth, and the men inside didn't hear the ruckus. Chance sent 2 shots at the door handle. One bullet managed to free up the lock. The second found its way into the right temple of little Susu Campbell, who had been obeying her harried father, Arvin, one of the 2 workers sorting mail. He'd had no choice but to take her along on the run that morning, because her mother was deep in the agonies of pushing out a little brother for sweet Susu, who until then had been an only child. And so would her brother Arvin Jr. be, thanks to Chance Filbert and his eagerness to avoid a legal occupation. Filbert's greasy, snaky head had entered the car before the rest of him, and though he didn't see the slumped girl to his left, he did see 2 men in the midst of sorting the mail. With hands full of letters, their jaws dropped, and they stared at the appearance of the homely man and the fat, long-haired one behind him, both with guns leveled. In court, Raleigh wore his $20 pinstriped storm-gray boiled wool suit and capped it with a matching gray topper, what he referred to as his city hat. He recalled when the salesman had set it on his head while standing before the tall looking-glass, how much like his long-dead father he looked. He also had to admit that the salesman had been correct. The hat made the suit, and the entire affair looked damn good on him. Though he'd rather tug on his old fawn boss of the plains, like he did most every day, Stone-Faced Finnegan did not ever miss a court date. He had vowed long ago to always see a case through, from top to bottom, front to back, and inside out. He knew, not unlike his old man once more, if he didn't do everything in his ability to nail shut the door on each and every lawbreaker and miscreant he nabbed, he'd be setting himself up for a month's worth of sleepless nights, all the while grinding down his molars and enduring his ticked-off-with-himself attitude. And at 54, he didn't need that crap in his life anymore. If wearing a fancy suit and shaving himself close and pink and oiling his hair and waxing his mustache, which he did each morning anyway, helped the prosecuting attorneys send the devils to the prison or the gallows, then he'd tug on the suit and do the job. There had been ample and irrefutable damning evidence, and painful, tearful testimony from the dead girl's parents. There had also been the precise recounting of events by Agent Raleigh Finnegan. Despite this, in a last-minute courtroom effort, Mo Chesterton, attorney-at-law for Chance Filbert, and closet dice roller, much to the detriment of his anemic bank balance, had stood before the assemblage, red-faced and thumbing his lapels in an effort to draw attention to what he hoped were persuasive words.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.